Well, today the Criterion Collection announced that Sidney Lumet's network is going to be spine number 1300, 1300. That's a lot of spine numbers, a lot of great movies that the Criterion Collection has released over the years. So, in honor of this momentous occasion, of course, we don't have spine number 1300 in hand, but I do have all the other 100 multiples in hand, and I'm about to show them to you. Whenever the Criterion Collection hits that fabulous century mark, at least longtime collectors such as myself like to speculate, what'll it be or what's the significance of it. I will say, first and foremost, I don't have any inside knowledge of how the Criterion Collection goes about choosing its spine numbers or bestowing a certain honor on the films that are, you know, listed with those double zeros behind it on the spine here. But there does seem to be some patterns, some significance associated with that. So let's kind of take a look at what they've decided to do with their previous multiples of 100, at least in their Blu-ray, DVD, and now 4K line. So let's start with the original Criterion Spine 100, the Beastie Boys video anthology. This is a DVD only set. It's never been upgraded to Blu-ray. This is the old thick clamshell packaging. It's a beast. You get this nice little 2-disc package. Look at all this hefty PVC plastic here just to hold two measly little blue or DVDs, I should say. It's a nice addition. It comes with an operations manual on thick, glossy cardboard, which gives you some guide on how to use your DVD remote control, especially that angle button, which they don't make anymore for Blu-rays. But this one had a really interactive aspect to it. In fact, there's little diagrams, and it'll show you all of the different remixes and alternate versions of the videos that you can make of these Beastie Boys classics on discs 1 and 2, along with some other special features. This edition also comes with a pretty awesome poster ready for your bedroom wall. Again, on thick paper. I don't know if the re-released new editions have the same exact quality of inserts, but if you just thought, why do the Beastie Boys get in the Criterion Collection? This is not just a pretty amazing package of videos for folks who came of age back in the 80s and 90s. There's a lot of happy memories packed in here, and maybe if you're younger than that, but you're a latter days Beastie Boys fan, it's an excellent set, gets all of their best work, and they were definitely innovative video pioneers. But I really think it is the maximized use of what was then kind of cutting edge DVD technology that makes this set a very worthy recipient of spine number 100. Now, spine 200 is the Honeymoon Killers. I will admit, this one feels kind of random. It's a pretty cool flick. It's about a pair of lovers on the run, killing people in order to both cover up and try to get away with some of the crimes they've already committed. Obviously, they're spiraling down pretty fast, and things do not wind up in a good place. In fact, the Honeymoon Killers end up on death row. Spoiler alert. What's really kind of interesting to me about this film is that the last killing, this is based on a true life situation as well. I mean, there are some elements, I'm sure, fictionalized for the sake of the movie, but this is based on real headline events from, I think, the 1950s, maybe 40s or somewhere in there. But the last killing that is, kind of referred to in this movie took place literally just a few miles from where I live. I live on the southwest side of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and there's a home that is on the lot. The original house where the killing took place has been destroyed, and the house has been rebuilt at another part of the lot. But it's a kind of an interesting landmark that happened pretty close to where I live. So that's spine number 200. I don't know that Criterion especially wanted to elevate this movie to lofty canonical status, but it did wind up at spine 200 for what it's worth. All right, Spine 300. I'm going to show you the DVD edition of The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. Of course, we know that the Criterion Collection loves Wes Anderson, and he loves them right back. Well, this was the 2-disc DVD edition. There was also a 1-disc Criterion DVD. There might have been another DVD title out there from the studio version, but this one has a little slipcase on it, which they don't release anymore. Here's the Blu-ray, and of course it's part of the Wes Anderson archive. But yeah, so this is Spine 300. And I remember being in the store saying, well, do I want to just get the one cheap version, or do I want to get the 2-disc DVD? And I went with the 2-disc DVD and never regretted that choice. So yeah, Wes Anderson, inside track, golden boy, pal of Criterion. They give him Spine number 300. Here's another guy that the Criterion Collection really likes, Jim Jarmusch. Stranger Than Paradise was their choice for Spine 400. This also has Permanent Vacation, so I guess you're getting 2 feature films for the price of 1. This is, of course, the Blu-ray upgrade version here, originally released on a DVD set. You know, these are early films. This is basically Jarmusch's breakthrough as a, credentialed director and auteur of sorts. And so Criterion honored him. They also had Night on Earth as Spine 401. I'm looking it up on my shelf there. But this is Spine 400. Maybe not super intentional, but a nice tip of the hat to the one and only Jim Jarmusch. Now here's one where I know that Criterion went out of their way to specifically bestow the number 500 on a particular disc. I'm holding up again the Blu-ray version, but when this first came out, this was a DVD package. Roberto Rossellini's War Trilogy. These are films that for many years seemed like they would never be properly restored. The original elements were way too beat up. They had a legendary reputation, of course, but it wasn't really looking very good or very likely that we'd be able to get to see them in a quality edition. However, Criterion and the advance of film restoration technology did their thing, and they gave us this incredible set as Spine number 500. But what's really unusual is that the custom back in the day was that Criterion would put the box set as its own Spine number. That would be the first, and then however many films were in the box, each of those films will get their own Spine number. But here you'll see 497, 498, 499. The box is what got 500, not the films themselves. And so very specifically manipulated their scheme at the time. This should have been 497 with Germany Year Zero as Spine 500, but they wanted to give it to the whole trilogy, not just the last of the 3. But these are powerful, really historic films. They really changed and ushered in the neo-realist era, which obviously was big in Italy and other parts of Europe, but it brought cinema back down to earth, away from just being the escapist dream factory into talking about what's really going on in the world. And so Rossellini did us a great service by putting together those 3 really fantastic and unforgettable films. All right, Spine number 600, Otto Preminger's Anatomy of a Murder. I like this one as a number 600. It was filmed in Michigan in the Upper Peninsula, again, north of where I live by a few hours drive. There are still a few sites and locations where this film was made. If you make your way up there to Thunder Bay, you can go ahead and kind of visit some of the spots where this kind of a bit of an unprecedented frankness that was introduced. It was part of the movement within Hollywood that kind of brought down the Hays Code. There was some open discussion of underwear. I think they used the word panties in the film, which was a bit of a shocker there for some of the viewers. But yeah, so one of the greatest films ever made in my home state of Michigan. And it's a pretty epic film. James Stewart, Lee Remick, Ben Gazzara. Good cast. Compelling courtroom drama. Slightly scandalous. a very worthy number 600. All right, Wes Anderson stands as the only director to have 2 separate 100 editions dedicated to him. 700 is Fantastic Mr. Fox. Very well-loved movie. People really bond and click with this. I enjoy it quite a bit myself. I won't put it at the very top of my Wes Anderson list just because I like his live-action stuff better, but he is very gifted and dedicated and created a great film with Fantastic Mr. Fox. And boy, you sure cannot fault Criterion for giving us one of the most beautiful sets in their collection. Just gorgeous. In fact, I'm just looking at all this orange and brown and rust color. It's like, yeah, this is a fall movie. I should be watching this, so I probably will pop it in fairly soon one of these days. So the Fantastic Mr. Fox, it's not the Fantastic, it's Fantastic Mr. Fox. This is your Spine 700, and Wes Anderson did it up right. Spine 800, another landmark film, The Graduate. One of the most, lasting, widely respected, new Hollywood titles of that movement. This came out in 1968. I very much remember the Simon and Garfunkel Bookends album. Not the official soundtrack, but serving as a soundtrack of sorts. And I remember hearing my parents talk about it when I was just a little tyke there. But The Graduate really shook things up in, Western culture, American culture for sure. Made a star out of Dustin Hoffman. And, it made a big impression. This was definitely one of those generational pivot points that a lot of young people saw and maybe started questioning and thinking for themselves a little bit more than they had before they saw The Graduate. That's 800. Well, number 900 is in some ways still an unprecedented blockbuster. 100 years of Olympic films. Look at this beast. I hope some of you have this set. It is really extraordinary. I have a whole story I could go into. This video is already long enough as it is. But, I have a lot of fondness for this set. Here's how it's packaged, if you're wondering. Maybe I'll have to do a special set. But, yeah, this comes with an amazing book, hardcover, illustrated, just all kinds of incredible stuff lurking in this box set. And then each of the films comes in a little, cardboard sleeve. Again, time forbids me from kind of getting into it all with you. But, Criterion wanted to do something special. They collaborated with the International Olympic Committee. They are a very hoity-toity bunch of people who like things to be done a certain way, their way. And it wasn't necessarily even an easy task for Criterion to pull this off. But it is just a magnificent document, a chronicle of 20th century history from a very particular angle, and really a one-of-a-kind set. I've watched not all of the films, most of them, and they are all excellent. They're really quite something. So much packed into that box right there. Okay, then they get to 1,000. They've got to definitely do something special for Spine number 1,000. A lot of us were really wondering, what is it going to be? It's got to be something unusual, right? Well, I think they blew a lot of us away by putting this set together. Godzilla, the Showa era films, 1954 to 1975. It's big, it's funky, it's amazing. The artwork, the dedication, the love for the big G-Man, Godzilla, and of course all the discs. A lot of people don't really like the packaging as far as how the discs are handled. I'm okay with it. I've never had any problems, but it is just a fantastic set. Not the easiest on the shelf space, because, where do you put this thing? I actually lay mine across the top of the spine numbers associated in that late 900 to early 1000 range. I've got deep shelves, so it can just lay there flat, minding its own business, and it's all good. All right, so that was spine number 1000. Then there was 1100. At that time, This was back in, what was it, 2021. So we're in the pandemic era now. But there's a lot of rumors that Criterion might be uh, regaining the rights to Citizen Kane, which, if you didn't already know, is Laserdisc #1. So Citizen Kane was how the Criterion Collection back in 1984 launched itself, introduced itself to the world with, was it Casablanca was #2? How am I forgetting? Well, anyways, shame on me forgetting what was #2. That was King Kong. That's what it was. So Citizen Kane, King Kong, they got the rights to those, put them out on Laserdisc. And Citizen Kane, like I say, was very much in the conversation. We thought, Spine 1100, Citizen Kane, it did come out as 1104. 1104. So what in the world is that about? 1100 turned out to be The Incredible Shrinking Man. I really think this is Criterion trolling all of us. They probably saw the online chatter and speculation and said, let's just throw them a total curveball and have a little fun with it. So The Incredible Shrinking Man is what gets the honor of Spine 1100. It's a pretty cool little movie, kind of a little bit of a paranoid Cold War, late 50s era sci-fi. And yeah, 81 minutes long, kind of a small movie for all of that, but it's still pretty cool. I don't see too many people talking about it or picking it up in their Barnes and Noble half-off sale hauls. I'd love to see people getting more into this. It's a very fun movie, both from the production, special effects, but also the message that it has about, amounting to something in this world, and dealing with our anxieties about insignificance and disappearing, and will everybody even notice if I'm gone, right? Anyways, Spine number 1200. I know I'm rolling on pretty long here. This is another pretty charming entry, The Red Balloon and Other Stories, 5 films by Albert Lamorisse. The Red Balloon, if you haven't seen it, is a really charming movie for children. Criterion released it years ago on a DVD edition. They didn't call it a Criterion Collection film. It was part of a very short series along with White Mane, another film that's included in the set, and another film called Paddle to the Sea. These are movies I saw when I was a kid in elementary school back in the late 1960s. And so I'm sure there's a lot of, nostalgia for people of a certain age. But The Red Balloon in particular is quite magical. It's about a boy in the city of Paris who has a red balloon that sort of seems to have a mind or a life of its own. It almost like follows him around. Extremely clever practical effects filmmaking using a balloon almost as an animated character in the film. And Lamorisse was a specialist. He made films that could be enjoyed by children as well as their parents or other caregivers. And I really love the fact that Criterion gave this sweet set, very joyful, innocent collection of films, but great cinematic effect and messages and presentation. That's what they gave as their number 1200. But with Network, Spine number 1300 is definitely a provocative zinger. Even though it's very familiar territory by now, it'll be celebrating its 50th anniversary next year. It came out in 1976. So again, from even a commemorative perspective, Spine 1300 as Network makes a lot of sense. But it is a movie that I think has a pretty pointed message, even perhaps in some ways more so than when it first came out, because the media has only become more homogenized, controlled by corporations, manipulative, algorithm driven. It's a brainwashing machine. It's honestly a soul sucker. And yet it's the society and the world we live in. Every age has its plagues and its dilemmas and its oppressions that humans have to work around and find a way to endure and overcome. So Network is a message from 50 years ago that's talking to us in 2026. And yeah, I think Criterion nailed it. They chose an excellent film to mark this new milestone in the history of the Criterion Collection. So I hope you've enjoyed this little tour through the hundreds of the Criterion Collection.